As we have discussed about the basic steps involved in finite element method, now we are going to illustrate these steps or illustrate the basic procedure involved in a finite element solution. So we consider this problem. So consider a bar as shown in the figure. An axial load of P is equal to 200 into 10 raised to 3 Newton is applied as shown. Determine the nodal displacement, determine the stress in each material, and determine the reaction forces. Now we have a composite bar consisting of a aluminum bar which is having an area of 2400 millimeter square, and elastic Young's modulus is also given. Then we have a steel bar which is connected to the aluminum bar. Then its area is 600 millimeter square, and corresponding elastic modulus is also given. Now these two composite connected bars are actually sandwiched between two supports. Now we are asked to find out the nodal displacements and determine the stress in each material. So we have to find out the displacement at point 1, point 2 and point 3. So these are the nodes. So we have to find out nodal displacement and determine the stress in each material. So we have to calculate the stress in aluminum bar as well as the steel bar and determine the reaction forces. So we will have two supports here, so there will be corresponding reaction forces. Now in order to solve this problem, the basic step is to select the number of elements and nodes. But that's already selected for us for this problem. We have divided the composite bar into two elements. The first element is aluminum portion and the second element is the steel portion. But it is not necessary to take two elements. We can take it as 4 element, 3 element, or whatever number of elements we can take it. But for this problem, it is convenient to take two elements. So since we have two elements, we will have 3 nodes. So node 1, then node 2 and node 3. If we see the displacement, at the first we have to calculate the nodal displacement. At node 1 and node 3, the bar is fixed. It's constrained at node 1 and node 3. So there is no displacement at node 1 and node 3. Only node 2 will have some displacement. So we have to calculate the displacement at node 2 and determine the stress in each material. So when the point 2 is displaced, aluminum will be subjected to a tensile stress and the steel will be subjected to a compressive stress. So you have to calculate the stress acting in each material and determine the reaction forces. When we apply a force P at the point node 2, thus there will be support reaction. At node 1 we will have a tensile reaction and node 2 will have a compressive reaction. So we have to calculate the magnitude of the reaction forces also. So we will jump into the problem. As we said here, we have two elements. Since we have already selected the element types, and element types we have a two noded element. In our earlier discussion, we have calculated or we have find out the element stiffness matrices for two noded linear elements. That we have seen, you have seen that it is AE by L into 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. So here we have two elements. So we have two element stiffness matrices. So element stiffness matrix for first element is represented as K1. Element stiffness matrix for second element is represented as K2. The first element is in between node 1 and node 2. So this is the general expression for the element stiffness matrix for a linear one-dimensional two-noded element. So we have AE by L into this matrix. So area is the 2400 is millimeter square is the area of the aluminum bar, and 70 into 10 raised to 3 is this is the elastic Young's modulus, and 300 is the length of the bar, and multiplied by this will give the element stiffness matrix for aluminum portion. Similarly, for the steel portion, we have area 600, then 200 into 10 raised to 3 is the Young's modulus, then 400 is the length of the element. So this will give the element stiffness matrix for steel bar. Once we obtain the element stiffness matrices, next we have to go for assembling the element stiffness matrix for obtaining the global stiffness matrix. In order to assemble the element stiffness matrix, we have to prepare a global matrix like this. So we have our node 1, node 2 and node 3. In between node 1 and node 2, we have our first element, that is aluminum element. For that, we have already calculated the element stiffness matrix. It was 0.56 minus 0.56, minus 0.56 and 0.56. So we have to write down the components of the element stiffness matrix for the first element in between node 1 and node 2. Between node 2 and node 3, we have to write down the element stiffness matrix for second element, that is steel. That is we have 0.3 minus 0.3 minus 0.3 and 0.3. Then 0.56 minus 0.56, 0, 0.56. Here we have to sum these two elemental components, that is 0.56 and 0.3, that is 0.86. Now we have assembled the global stiffness matrix. So global stiffness matrix is made by assembling the element stiffness matrices. That procedure is just shown. Next we have to calculate the global load vector. Global load vector, you can see that it is actually a column vector represented as capital F. Here we will write down the nodal forces, force acting on node 1, node 2 and node 3. We know that at node 1 we have a reaction force, that is we represent as R1. At node 2 we have our applied force, that is 200 into 10 raised to 3 kilonewton. So I will write the 10 raised to 3 common to all, so we will write it like this. Then at node 3 we have again reaction from the wall, that is represented as R3. So this is our global load vector. So it is also written here, but for a space constraint it is written as a row vector, where R1, R3 are the support reactions at node 1 and node 3. Equation is equal to F is equal to KD. So we have our global force vector F, then global stiffness vector K, then this is our global displacement vector d1x, d2x and x and d3x. After assembling the equations, we have to apply the boundary conditions. Invoking the boundary conditions, you can see that this is our setup. We have a wall here and the aluminum bar, then the steel bar, then we have another wall here. So this is our node 1, node 2 and node 3. Our element 1 is here and element 2 is here. So this is our setup. Then since it is fixed at both the ends, at node 1 and node 3, the bar is fixed, so there is no movement. So its degree of freedoms at 1 and 3 are fixed. So d1x will be equal to 0 and d3x will be also equal to 0. That is the boundary condition we apply on this global equations. So this is equal to 0 and this is also equal to 0. So we will get the equation like this. After applying the boundary condition, we can see that here this is since the displacement at first d1x is equal to 0 and d3x is equal to 0, we can actually remove this entire row, first row and the last row. Similarly, since we have a displacement that first and third position are 0, in the global stiffness matrix we can remove the first column and the last column. So we are left with 200 into 10 raised to 3, that is equal to 0.86 times 0.86 into 10 raised to 6 times d2x. You can write it as 0.86 into 10 raised to 6, 0.86 into 10 raised to 6 into d2x is equal to 200 into 10 raised to 3. From that we can calculate the displacement at the node 2, at d2x equal to 23256 millimeter. Once we obtain the displacement, so we have our new displacement vector. D is equal to 0, 0.23256 and 0 transpose. So it's actually a column vector. Now, once we obtain the displacement vector, we can calculate the strains. So epsilon x equal to du by dx. We have seen earlier. So d2x minus d1x divided by L. So d2x is point. For the case of aluminium, we have epsilon x 1. So 1 represent the first element, that is aluminium. So d2x minus d1x divided by L, that is 0.23256 minus 0 divided by 300, that is 7.7519 to 10 raised to minus 4. So that will be the strain in aluminium. The strain in steel can be calculated using epsilon x equal to d3x minus d2x divided by L. Okay. So first element is between 1 and 2. So we have d2x minus d1x divided by L. Second element is between 2 and 3. So we have d3x minus d2x divided by L. So 0 minus 0.23256 divided by 400. So we get strain in aluminium as well as steel. As we detected earlier, this strain in aluminium is tensile strain because it is positive, and strain in steel is compressive strain. Once we obtain the strain, we can calculate the stress by multiplying it with the Young's modulus. So sigma x equal to E into epsilon x. So strain in aluminium is sigma x equal to 54.2635 megapascal. So here 70 is the 70 into 10 raised to 9 Newton per meter square is the Young's modulus for aluminium. For steel, we have 200 to 10 raised to 9 Newton per meter square, that is the Young's modulus for steel. Multiplying it with the strain in steel will give the stress in steel. So finally, we have to calculate the support reaction. For support reaction, we are again going back to our global equations, that is F is equal to KD. So here, this is our global force vector, this is the global stiffness matrix, and we have displacement vector. So in the displacement vector, we have replaced the unknown d2x with the 0.23256. Now consider the first first row. R1 equal to 0.56 times 0 minus 0.56 times 0.23256 plus 0 times 0. So R1 equal to that is equal to minus 130.23 kilonewton. 0.5 is minus 0.56 times 0.23256, that is 130.23 kilonewton. Similarly, for R3, you can use the last row, that is 0 times 0 minus 0.3 times 0.2356 plus 0.3 times 0. So we get minus 69.77 kilonewton. So both are negative. So this is our setup. So R1 is in this direction, R2 is in this direction. So force P is acting in this direction. So at this point, this P will cause a compressive stress in steel or compressive force in steel. So if we R2 is in this direction, that will be R3. R3 is in positive direction, that will be negative. Here, so P is acting along this direction. So this is a tensile stress. So at this point it will be like this. So the direction of, if we take R1 in positive direction, we will get R1 as negative minus 13.23. So this is the procedure for solving a finite element method problem. But usually in actual case, we will not be solving it manually. Usually for FEM is employed for very complicated problems. In that case, there will be a large number of elements, the thousands or lakhs of elements will be there. So manually we cannot solve that entire problem. But this is a solution procedure. Next we will see another problem.